Shield wall! Brace yourselves!
As you come up.
Brace yourselves!
Form squared! Attack!
Shield wall!
Wipe them out!
Close order! Shield wall!
Form up!
For close order!
Fire!
For close order! For close order!
Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back. So, Imperial Archers. I love playing this unit. A lot of you guys have said that you love seeing me play this unit, and if there's anything that stands out as the most requested in the comments, it is by far an updated guide for this unit. So here we are. Now, I think that Imperial Archers are just the best ranged unit in the game with all things considered. Their DPS potential versus their leadership cost versus their practical usability across different maps and sieges. They are just an incredibly dynamic ranged unit, and I'm going to go over everything here from their Veterancy build to their Doctrine setup, and where they stand out as different and frankly better than a lot of other ranged units, as well as where and when to get them in for their highest value in some different situations. So starting with the basics, unlocking and building the unit. This is one of the few honor-based units that is still left in the regular meta. Coming in as the furthest unit down in the line of archers, they cost the standard heroic era 15,000 honor to unlock, as well as an extra 20,400 honor to unlock all of the required units and nodes before it. Now, one of the biggest benefits of the heroic era units are all the additional honor nodes that can be used to make them even stronger. And in the case of the Imperial Archers, we have some very strong nodes that are absolutely worth investing into, totaling out to grant an extra 15% accuracy, 15% penetration, and 6% damage. The maxing out heroic honor nodes is an extremely costly venture, and these are no different, with all of the bonuses costing a total of an extra 80,500 honor. And this will take some time, but for me, this was the first unit that I ever maxed out, and I have never regretted it. So moving next into the Veterancy lines, this is where we're going to start to see the first dramatic change compared to my previous guide, where the top line used to be the better choice. However, I think that the bottom line is just better now, after some nerfs to the top line, especially to the Elite node, which changed its effect from plus 10% firing speed to minus 10% firing speed. It does also grant an additional 15% penetration, but the meta of units around your archers has changed so much since the first guide that today there is just no use for their regular arrows. Bodkins should always be on, they're always going to be firing into armor, and so that's going to bring all of the extra penetration that you need. Instead, going bottom line now grants some pretty heavy hitting bonuses, and it'll also spill over an extra 5 points into the top line, meaning you still get to keep most of the range bonus from the top line. So in total, you'll get plus 13% armor penetration, plus 20% bodkin arrow firing speed, plus 10% damage to cavalry, plus 10% damage to infantry, plus 6% damage overall, and plus 12% range, which is 2/3 of the 18% range that you would get from top line. Next up, looking at the Doctrines, we're again just trying to focus on being able to stack damage. So other than the arrow rain utility skill, all 4 other Doctrines are adding purely piercing damage and nothing else. No accuracy, ammo Doctrines, all of their base stats are quite high naturally. They're a very accurate unit at close to medium range where you want them already, and so all that really matters is how hard are they going to hit. So with all of this applied, we can take a look at their final attributes versus their stock attributes, and you can see some pretty impressive DPS here already. But these stats don't take into account what the bodkins add in as well. Now the game no longer says directly in the text what the actual penetration bonus is anymore. But a long time ago, it did, and it was printed as plus 300% in the trade-off for minus 25% firing speed and minus 10% damage. But I have played this unit every season, and I have never felt any change in their damage across seasons, so I'm going to continue to operate under the assumption that the number itself has not changed. This means that our base 1722 penetration is effectively multiplied by 4 when bodkins are on. The base 1722 plus 300% leaves us with a total penetration number of 6,888, nearly 7,000 piercing penetration, which effectively ignores all but the highest resistances, like a short sword in their iron sides. But even those aren't safe for more than a single volley. They will still get dropped. With their firing speed, accuracy, and ability to ignore armor even from the front, especially with the damage to shields doctrine, their close range DPS is on par with a perfectly set up Imperial Archers volley fire skill, except that it's always activated, it has better angles, and it's more maneuverable. But then when we actually take a look at bringing them into the battle and unloading with that DPS, things can get tricky. These are the glass cannon archers of the game. They need to get close-ish, they have low armor and low HP, and so most things will be able to one-hit them, and they don't get the safety and range that vassals do. A single green Scorpio shot is enough to completely kill the entire unit if it's hit perfectly. Positioning, timing, and awareness of what is out there that can kill your unit are all very key for this reason. But if there's one general rule that you can start with and build out from, it's that the home point is almost always the safest place to use them, both attacking and defending. Now of course this won't always be the case. There are a lot of great plays to be made in a bunch of different areas and different maps, and as you get more comfortable with the areas and timing of when you can get some quick early damage with them, you'll be able to capitalize on that utility that they have over muskets often. But one absolute starting rule that will always apply is that you should never ever start with your archers first. One of the best parts of having your DPS unit be purple instead of gold is the ability to fill out your build with enough other quality units to be able to start strong with something else in every map and assess where they can be put in without putting them at risk before they are needed. Even when you're defending, if it's not a Scorpio shooting over the wall, it's going to be a longbow like me who kills your unit before they can get any kind of trade. Just don't do it. The second thing is identifying good positioning for the unit. This is something that only really needs to be learned once per map. The spots don't really change depending on where your enemy is. It's more about the timing and your positioning to be ready in those good spots at the moments that they are needed. So to try and outline some principles of positioning, I'm going to go over this clip on Riverland's castle. Looking at the map here, the red line is where I like to position my archers, because they cannot be trapped behind this wall, and I've got quick, easy access to be able to pull them around the corner and fire some quick damage. The only angle to hit my archers with other archers is directly down this alley, which means I can see every possible threat, trebs and ranged, all in one direction, so there's going to be no surprises. This gives me the freedom to push forward and retreat with ease to be able to keep on a steady pressure and avoid them from getting set up into a death ball.
My command.
Oh, that was a freaking trap.
It also lets me push up and take some advantage of the angles that we get over muskets already, getting to take out half of an archer line for free over the wall, and then falling back to the safety of my corner. Now as this is going down, I'm constantly scanning for those three threats again: ranged heroes, ranged units, and trebs. And with no ranged in sight, I can keep poking out and harassing enemy units, and you'll see over and over the enemy tries to treb my unit. But because while my archers are shooting, I'm not just staring at the damage numbers, my eyes are fixed on the sky above, so I'm able to see it coming every time and get out of the way really quickly. Another thing to note here is that if I were trying to use volley fire in this situation, I would be completely starved of that freedom to quickly move in and out of position like that, or it just resets the skill timer. Now I'll let the clip play out a little bit more here, but keep an eye on how we're keeping absolutely as much uptime as possible on the damage and staying as close up to the enemy as we can without getting punished, almost daring them to try for the archers.
Get into position. Attack! Destroy
My
them!
40s are going to retreat, and we're probably going to lose control of the
Another
More
trap
trap
coming
coming.
in, yep. I've dodged so many of them here. It's on the shield wall.
Units, assemble! We will stand guard! Attack at will!
Okay, you don't have to retreat to A.
Oh, A?
A's good, A's good.
A's good, A's good. Okay, okay.
They're lining up for B again right now.
I'm gonna throw a couple jabs at him.
Treb,
Another treb.
that's just bad Treb, that's hitting nothing.
Attack! It is an honor to serve. Stand ready!
Dude, my archers are just eating this push alive.
Stand ready!
They got a lot here though, we might need more. And with that, we're able to take out nearly 100 quality units and stop that entire push, allowing time to hit the supply for more ammo, and by keeping a watch for those threats, we're able to maximize damage uptime without losing a single man in the unit in the process. But that was a somewhat easy situation to play in. Without ranged heroes or units on the wall to be careful of, it's just the trebs. But what about the same situation with more ranged threats pushing? I see one musket, two short bows coming here with some ranged units behind the melee charges, and really, it's just as easy. And as the enemy comes in close to try the point, we're able to keep safely tucked in on the same wall where we can't be trebbed, and we're up very close to punish the units and heroes trying to storm in. Unless they can fully corner off the point for their ranged units to get behind and fire over, any range that they have here cannot get an angle and just is not a threat. Now before those matches ever started, I could already tell you that behind the wall there for B is the best place on the map to use archers without getting trebbed, hit by cav, etc. And this is true for most maps. Looking through a few more here on Harbor City, first these safe walls defending the first supply point, and then later set up behind the wall for home point. This is the next obvious treb safe area that people like to set up. For Hidden City, this safe corner on the left side beside B is the common first ranged setup, and then again for home point, tucked in the corner or behind the buildings where they can't be trebbed. On White Elk, along the right side of A, pressed up against the wall where they can't be hit by trebs or many ranged angles. And then again, tucked in behind the buildings, beside home point on the left. I'm sure you're starting to see a trend here. There are certain spots that, as long as you've got some melee cover for the front, you'll be near unstoppable and able to unload. And honestly, if you only use these well-known, kind of obvious spots in each map, you'll still do well in most matches with them. But what really separates the Imperial Archers from every other ranged unit is their balance between doing mass damage up close in stationary safe spots, as well as being very quick and strong to catch great surprise angles. Yes, a volley fire will do more damage on a perfect line, and vassals do have a bit better range for catching units out by surprise. But the vassals can never switch back to the high DPS role after they catch some free archers, and that volley fire can't change off its high DPS for some surprise angles. Imperial Archers aren't the best at either job, but they are the second best at both. So let's talk about some of those angles. If we look on Sun City, we got that home point, treb safe, expected area for defenders along the wall. But why bother setting up with shield walls to tank damage while you could try and set up close like other ranged, when you can do the same kind of DPS from safe, tricky angles over walls and in the back, without having to put any other units at risk? This is where I'm going to want to use my arrow rain ability, hitting those ranged units in the back hard with the bodkins, but fast enough to wipe them before the enemy notices the damage. Against melee units, it's usually not worth using arrow rain, as you're basically just burning through twice as much ammo and not really getting much of a DPS increase after all of the damage decrease that it gives. So it's usually better to just sustain regular bodkins for a long time. But against ranged that doesn't have the HP to sustain and hold position, the slight increase to DPS is worth the big ammo dump if it means you get more kill shots before they have time to react. Oh wow, that looks beautiful. All those back shots. Of course, leaving the safety of those corner spots means you have to be extra careful. You should be tabbing frequently to see if the enemy has cavalry on the field or how many ranged hero classes they have ready to counter you, because getting a great angle is not at all going to be worth it if your unit dies before it gets a good trade. But aside from the obvious dangers of venturing out, we're looking at a few of my favorite spots here that my archers can help break into when the melee is set up too heavily and we can't quite break in with my other units.
Shields up! Get moving! Yes, Commander!
Get him, Bumpy.
I'm firing into all their range right now. I got a good angle on it.
Nice.
I was about to say, like, I have all of my guys right here. Oh my god, he's coming back up the stairs.
Oh my god, I'm just watching the bodkin arrows rain in.
Yeah.
Those are going to start shooting over the wall and killing all of their fucking range. If we can protect those archers, it's going to absolutely slaughter their backline.
I think
Save these archers at all costs. These are all examples, though, of them acting as a utility DPS. If we really want to see their most impressive showing, it comes when they step in as the cleanup crew. When the big melee clash has already started, heroes are distracted trying to hold the melee angles and stop a push, the Imperials can step in with incredible firing speed and accuracy at this point-blank close range and be able to just wipe a point clean of its heroes.
Get close, but I'll get smacked in the ass if I try again.
If we look at this clip here, even an Imperial volley fire wouldn't kill as well, shooting up steps and around to the left and to the right, able to walk in closer and closer as we close in and keep up the damage the whole time. Imperial Archers are one of a kind.
Genius. Genius.
Alright guys, this was a pretty long one for going in on just one particular unit. I think it's actually the longest unit guide I've done so far. But these guys really deserved the redo from the old outdated guide. And I could have probably gone an extra 2 hours just going over each map individually, every spot I like to use, but that's probably excessive. I think this should give a good outline to start and learn with. So thanks for checking it out guys, and if you're interested in entering for the giveaway on this one, simply like the video, be subscribed to the channel, and leave a comment down below. One comment will be randomly selected as the winner. Alright, thanks again, have a good one, take care.